What if the most familiar object in your night sky was never supposed to be there? Not a metaphor, not a myth, a serious question that planetary scientists, astronomers, and researchers have struggled to answer cleanly for decades. Because here is what nobody tells you about the moon. It should not exist, not the way it does, not where it is, not doing exactly what it does for exactly the planet it orbits. Start with the size. The moon is enormous relative to Earth. Most moons in our solar system are tiny fragments compared to the planets they orbit. Mars has 2 small, captured asteroids. Jupiter's moons are large, but Jupiter is incomparably larger. The ratio makes sense. The math fits. Earth's moon does not fit. Our moon is over a quarter, the diameter of Earth. That is not normal. That is not what the models predict. Planetary scientists call Earth and the moon a double planet system because the size relationship is so unusual it barely qualifies as a planet with a moon at all. The leading theory is called the giant impact hypothesis. A Mars-sized object collided with early Earth and the debris coalesced into the moon. It is the best explanation we have, but the moon's chemical signature is almost identical to Earth's own mantle, cleaner than a collision should produce, more precise than randomness explains. And then there is the eclipse. The moon is 400 times smaller than the sun. The sun is 400 times farther away than the moon. These 2 numbers cancel so perfectly that during a total solar eclipse, the moon covers the sun's disk with near mathematical exactness. Not approximately. Precisely. This is how we discovered the solar corona. This is how we confirmed Einstein's general relativity. Breakthroughs made possible by a coincidence so exact it has no parallel anywhere else in the known solar system. No other planet and moon combination produces this, not one. The odds of this being random have been calculated. They are not comforting. Now look at the orbit. The moon orbits Earth in a nearly perfect circle. Most natural satellites have elliptical, irregular orbits shaped by chaotic forces. The moon's is almost perfectly circular in a way unusual for a natural object. It also rotates at exactly the same speed it orbits, which means the same face always points toward Earth. We have never seen the far side from the surface of this planet. Not once in all of human history until we sent a spacecraft around it in 1959. Whatever is on the far side has been permanently hidden from human eyes for the entire existence of our species. Ancient cultures noticed all of this long before science had vocabulary for it. The Sumerians described the moon as something that arrived, not something always there. Their texts speak of a time before the moon existed, a different sky, a darker one. The ancient Greeks recorded similar accounts. Aristotle referenced writings describing people called the proselenes, meaning those who existed before the moon. Multiple early civilizations independently described a world without it. These are ancient texts, not scientific evidence, but the pattern is worth asking about. And then in 1970, 2 Soviet scientists named Mikhail Vasin and Alexander Shcherbakov published a paper proposing something that was either brilliant or completely wrong and has never been fully dismissed. They proposed the moon was hollow. Not a hollow natural moon, a hollow constructed one. Vasin and Shcherbakov looked at the data from lunar impacts and asked a question nobody wanted to ask. When large meteorites strike the moon, the seismic readings do not behave the way a solid rock body should. The moon rings. It resonates. It vibrates for an unusually long time in a way that some seismologists have described as behaving like a bell. A solid rock does not ring like a bell. A hollow structure does. NASA's own Apollo mission records document that when the Apollo 12 crew deliberately crashed the lunar module onto the moon's surface in 1969, seismometers recorded vibrations that continued for nearly an hour. Some scientists describe the moon as ringing like a bell for 55 minutes. Mainstream geology has explanations for this. The moon's dry, rigid interior conducts seismic waves differently than Earth's liquid core does. This is not proof of anything hollow, but it is strange, and strange is worth following. Because here is where it becomes something larger than astronomy. Carl Sagan, one of the most careful and respected scientific minds of the 20th century, wrote in his 1966 paper on natural satellites that a natural satellite cannot be hollow. The math does not allow it. The gravitational and structural forces involved would collapse any hollow natural body. If the moon were hollow, Sagan's logic suggests it could not be natural. That sentence has sat quietly in scientific literature for 60 years without a clean answer. Now ask a different kind of question. Why does the moon affect you the way it does? Not metaphorically, literally. The moon controls Earth's tides, regulating the rhythmic pulse of every ocean on this planet. It stabilizes Earth's axial tilt, which stabilizes the seasons, which allowed the agricultural revolution, which allowed civilization to exist in the form it does. Without the moon, Earth's axis would wobble chaotically over thousands of years, producing climate swings so extreme that complex life as we know it may never have developed a stable enough environment to persist. The moon does not merely orbit Earth, it maintains Earth. It holds this planet's conditions inside a narrow band of stability that happens to be exactly the band required for human life. That is either the most extraordinary coincidence in the history of the solar system, or it is something else. And here is the question that sits underneath all of this. If you were going to design a moon, what would it look like? You would make it large enough to stabilize the planet's axis. You would place it at a distance that creates a resonance with the planet's tides. You would give it a perfectly circular orbit for predictability. You would lock its rotation so one face remained permanently visible as a fixed point of reference for the civilization below. You would size it so that it produces perfect solar eclipses, allowing that civilization to make the astronomical observations necessary to develop advanced science. And then you would wait. Every requirement for an engineered satellite matches the moon we actually have. This does not mean it was built. It means the question of whether it was built cannot be answered with the same certainty that we dismiss it. What if the moon arrived here the same way a tool arrives anywhere? Placed, positioned, calibrated. What if every tide that has ever moved, every season that has ever turned, every civilization that has ever risen was made possible by something that was put there deliberately? And what if the reason humans have stared at the moon since the first night we opened our eyes is not poetry, not instinct, not romance, but memory? The deep cellular knowledge that something up there is connected to everything down here in a way that goes beyond gravity and light. What if the moon was artificial, and the most honest thing that can be said about it is this: we have never been able to fully explain it. We have never stopped looking at it, and somewhere beneath everything we think we know, we have always suspected it was looking back. So, what do you think? Leave your theory below. Subscribe for more impossible questions.